Hey players, if you're anything like me, you just went through your last extract just to learn that the servers were down and you lost all your loot. But it looks like we have at least a decent reason for it because they just released patch 14.1 about a half hour ago. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to run down this patch and see what we could expect and if they've gone ahead and ruined all the good vibes of the new wipe. First off, we have the reworking of the damage through layers of armor. Now, when each layer is penetrated, the bullet loses some penetration power and damage depending on the characteristics of the penetrated armor. And I know a lot of other YouTubers have been dealing with things with the armor plates, bugs where plates that get penetrated aren't doing damage, the damage calculation's not making sense. So hopefully things will be a little more in line now what they should be. And of course, the next note's about that as well. Fix an issue with missing blunt damage when hitting a ballistic plate. Blunt damage now decreases when there's soft armor behind the unpenetrated component, which is good. That makes sense. That's how vests would work in real life. If you took, a round to your plate, your soft armor would at least cushion it a little bit. You're still going to get a good, punch to the chest, but you'll live. The head colliders for eyes and ears. Now, I'm assuming this has something to do with the headshot proportions for the hitboxes. I'm not entirely sure. I've not heard anything about this issue before. They've removed the possibility to bullets to pierce through a character's thorax and stomach. I haven't heard about this being an issue as well. If they're over penetrating when they shouldn't be, maybe if you're getting hit top down from that rat in the rafters, maybe this might help you out a little bit there. Added the fits existing text to the ballistic plate inspector to display which armors the plates fits to. Um, Other than butchering that sentence, this is pretty great. I know that I have definitely gone ahead and I've bought some plates just to learn that they don't fit in my armor and have them sitting in my inventory still because I run cheap rigs and cheap armor and cheap plates because, well, 2,000 hours in, I'm still a Giga Timmy and maybe you are too. They've added the ability to fit granite BR4 and BR5 plates into the Wartech TV110 and TV115 plate carriers. I don't really use those. I don't know if this has been a big problem, but at least now, plates that go in things should be going in things. We've adjusted the recoil parameters for pistols, shotguns, and the SKS carbine. Now, this is the one that makes me the most nervous because I have absolutely loved how pistols have ran so far. It has been fantastic to be able to actually use a pistol reliably in PvP. It's just been a great time. Shotguns, I can understand. I've heard some complaints before about how the recoil is just so low that dumping 8 shells for setup into somebody might be a little too easy. But setup's also terrible, so give or take how you feel about that one. Added contact shadows for the BTR and updated visual effects for the BTR machine gun fire. Now, I don't know much about this one, but I have a feeling that Ground Zero has something to do with this, so I guess a lot more people are on that machine gun blasting at everybody that runs left, right, and center. So they probably noticed some issues with the shadows and visual effects, and some other parts of this list will cover that as well. Adjusted the random container spawn settings to reduce the chance of spawning an empty container. I love this. I hate when I run through somewhere that's clearly not been looted, yet half the containers are empty anyways. This is fantastic. It's gonna make your streets runs even better. Or if you're like me and you run around in the woods at night because you don't want to get shot in the face by everyone sniping, you might get a little loot on your way out. Added tenths of percentage display when viewing the total number of players who have completed an achievement. I don't think achievements are that important. I think they're fun to get, but I wouldn't worry too much about how many players have some and don't, because some of them you might never get done, although they are pretty straightforward. And so far, what we have, since most of them involve just killing or achieving quests. But in the future, when they add more, who knows how that's going to go. Adjusted the sound positioning system on Ground Zero and Streets of Tarkov. Everyone knows the audio system's junk. I don't know what they plan on doing that's going to make two maps specifically better when it's still kind of bad across the board. Sometimes I still can't tell what's the left or right unless I'm shaking my head back and forth. We'll see how that turns out. In the near future, the in-game stash expansion and access to the practice co-op mode will become available for purchase in the profile page on the official Escape from Tarkov website. And additional stash lines will be available regardless of game edition. Now, I don't know about you, but because EOD was stopped going to be for sale, I did finally move over to the EOD edition after playing on standard for years now. So I don't exactly know how I feel about this kind of pay for stash line kind of thing. Honestly, I would just prefer if they made the stash upgrades a little easier to do, frankly, because I feel like everyone should get to that max stash size at some point, but I feel like you shouldn't have to pay for that. I didn't get EOD for the stash size. I didn't even get it for the container. I got it for, the arena beta, the unique name, all the other cool stuff because I'm just so used to not having that stuff. But it'll make people's lives easier who want to kind of pay their way. The rest of us can grind if we want. Purchasing access to the Practice Co-op mode will be available for all editions. For Edge of Darkness owners, the ability to play in Practice Co-op mode is available by default. I do kind of like this one. I feel like practicing co-op with your friends or anything with offline mode is just fantastic. I believe I've heard once that they plan on taking offline mode away at some point. I think that would be a terrible decision. I think this is the best way to learn your maps to get the practice you need, other than maybe Tarkov Arena to get practice in, close fighting. Offline mode's the best thing I think, in my opinion, the game has added for a long time. We also have a pretty long list of bug fixes to go through here. I'm not going to go through them all line by line because we would be here all day, and this is just supposed to be a quick summation. However, there are a couple in here that I thought were fairly interesting of note that I think are worth talking about. Now, the first one here is fixing several bugs in the vaulting mechanics that cause getting pushed out, stuck, and falling in geometry. Now, I don't know if this is going to fix several of the exploits that have become pretty popular and known, such as hopping through the windows in Resort, going through the floors of Reserve, or getting into the marked room of Streets by going through that half broken kind of block glass window and then looting everything and going up a shelf, then up through the floor to get out. So they've acknowledged those exploits, that they're not supposed to be happening, but I don't know if this is necessarily going to fix them for you people who like to kind of get your loot down and dirty. I'm not one of them, but hey, game's a game. But most importantly, though, not getting stuck in rocks, not getting stuck vaulting over something between two pieces of fence or something that you can't get out of with your full kit on. That's a good fix right there. So we're gonna count that as a win. Now there's another big thing for me. When I go to Streets, I avoid the BTR like a plague, specifically because of this one right here. Fix the logic where the BTR would start firing at nearby players. The BTR just randomly shooting at you and ruining your day when you're just going down trying to get into Unity credit to go through those drawers. Absolutely terrible feeling. Glad that's getting fixed. They also have a couple other BTR fixes, such as you can't get sniped by snipers from it while you're on the inside now. That's a good fix. Fix the ability to transfer restricted items to other players. I didn't even know that's a thing. I'm mostly a solo player. I don't really have a feeling about it one way or another. On one hand, yeah, that's going to stop people from buying outside services to just pay for items with cash and transfer it in, which is probably something that's bad for the overall game economy. And this will push it more in the way BSG wants to do things. However, exploits are exploits. People are going to find new ways anyways, so you can only just chase them down while they find new ones. I consider it a good thing, but that might not be how you feel. They fixed the ability to quickly return from the left-right lean if using the smooth lean after using normal lean. I've heard about this as a tip for people to do, and people even have their keyboard binds kind of set up in a way to easily do this so they can pop in and out a lot quicker. Being the victim of this probably doesn't feel good, but it's just like getting peaked by the netcode. I don't think this one was a huge issue, but it was an issue, I suppose. So getting that fixed is good. Fix the possibility of AI falling through the ground in certain cases. That's a good one. No one wants to kill a scav and have it fall through the ground. I've even seen it happen to players where they'll take players down and the corpses will either turn invisible and you can still loot them, or they'll just straight up disappear. Hopefully that addresses both these kind of situations, but I think that's a worthy one to go over here. Now, this one right here, fixing the incorrect logic of inviting a player to the lab raid if they don't have a keycard. This is one I don't like. I feel like that if you're going in a group, one person having a lab key card logically would be able to open the door for you to get in. However, if you look at things from like the books or like the lore review, you're supposed to have the key card, so like auto turrets don't shoot at you and all sorts of crazy stuff like that. Then yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense, but I don't know how much they're really pushing that into this game. But I still think if you have one lab's key card and you have three people with you should go in. for balancing purposes, I guess it makes a little more sense. So more people have to put in a little more value to get in when they're running in a 5 man to go stomp Timmys like me. But take that however you want to in this case. I'm not exactly a big fan of it. One that really has my interest here is adjusted the damage from fire and barbed wire. Really curious to see what they do with this. There used to be a time where you'd go into, like, say, the fire in the gas station on Shoreline, and if you accidentally missed that shelf hop a little bit, you maybe had like a 1 to 2 milliseconds to get yourself out of the fire and still live, and then try again and patch up and heal. Now I'm pretty sure once you touch it, you just instantly die. At least that's been my experience so far. And with barbed wire, I don't know if they're going to reduce it, raise it. I know right now, if you have like enough meds, you can tank through barbed wire on the top of concrete fences to get in some cheeky spots. Maybe that's why they're adjusting this. Really curious to see how it goes on that one. And the last one, fix the possibility of generating a player scav with no equipment. This has not happened to me, but I have seen clips of it. Man, that's gotta suck. I mean, you're going in to get a bunch of loot, and that's, you might be able to get okay. Find a bag on the ground so you at least start shoving something on your pockets. But just spawning in with nothing, not being able to really pick up much, and if you're going in for quests to kill PMCs, well, your day's just ruined, and you're gonna need to get out and wait another 20 something minutes on the scav timer or less if you have all the rate reduction. So that's pretty much everything that I think was really interesting in the fixes and go over of the patch notes here. I'm really curious to see what you guys think, what you expect. Is there any fixes you see in here that have really been affecting you a lot? And how do you feel about the adjusting recoil on pistols, shotguns, and things of the like? Have you been liking it a lot so far in the raid, or do you think it's maybe a little too easy? Let me know down in the comments below.